Welcome back, YouTubers. Today I'm going to show you how to take the screen off this Apple Mac using a blade, some plastic grip tools, some prying tools and a hairdryer. Also going to use one of these Torx screwdrivers, and if anyone's got any ideas why Apple decided to put sticky adhesive on the back of the screens instead of magnets, please let me know in the notes below in the comments. So you've got to get round the screen to get the black seal off, and we're going to use a hairdryer. You basically can use a heat gun as well. So go around the screen for a couple of minutes, get the glue nice and warm, and then be really gentle. This is an older machine, I'm not precious about it. There's a HDD in there. I'm going to basically put a solid state hard drive in there to sell this unit on. So there is some damage to the screen, it's got a slight crack in there anyway. So I've speeded this up. It's approximately 3 or 4 minutes of heat around the screen, and then we get the plastic pry tool. So this is the 21.5 inch Apple Mac A1418. I always thought these have magnetic clips on them. You just literally pull the screen off with a sucker of some sort, like a glass sucker. So the pry tools are probably more gentle on the glass, but it took forever to basically get anywhere with the glue on there. It's like a foam double backed sided gluey tape. So I ended up resorting to a blade, which actually worked a lot better. So keep running around the screen, be really gentle. If it starts to come loose in one area, move on. If you just pull it loose in one place, you'll crack the screen. You've got to keep working all the way around the screen. So I've gone around the left, the top and the right side here. I've left the bottom attached, so basically I'll be able to hinge the screen away. If you're not getting very far with it, get some more heat on there. Just be really gentle. I'll warn you now, these screens are not available as spare parts unless you're prepared to pay the price of a new Apple Mac anyway. So yeah, when you start to get some sort of purchase on the glass, gently pry away. Don't pull at a section of it if it's not giving. As you see, that the glue at the bottom will still hold the screen together. Just be careful in case the screen isn't held on at the bottom, or somebody else has worked on it before. And there you can see inside a couple of cables that you'll need to release before you completely remove the screen. Laptop style, some of them just pull out, some of them will have a clip on there as well. As with the video cable, release the clip first, which is underneath the tape, and then gently pull, and there you are, it comes away. Now you can hinge the screen fully away from the motherboard. So in this case it was attached, so I'm going to get the heat gun on there, just reposition the camera. There we go. Really want a good couple of minutes on there with the heat. If you're going to use an actual heat gun, just be careful with it. I decided to use a hairdryer just because I didn't know what was going to be behind there, how delicate things were. So again, score the glue, and then be gentle as you pull away. If you need to, put more heat on. So the worst thing you can do at this point is rush, because you will break something. There we go, score the glue, and it should come away. There we go. Make sure you put the screen down on some sort of soft surface. I use these oversized desk mats, which are great for putting glass screens down and metal cases and slide around and they don't get scratched. So, as I mentioned, we're going to take the hard drive out and replace it with the solid state drive. It's held in with those horrible five-fingered star-shaped screws, which I believe they're called Torx screws. I'm not a massive Apple fan, I don't tend to work on them. I'm a PC guy, but I will do the odd job on these. Normally they're nice and straightforward. This one was a real pain in the arse to get into. Can't you tell I'm not an Apple fan? So, and apologies, I'm using GoPros at the moment to record some of these videos. I have got a new camera for the next video that'll do. So, there's 4 screws. when you take them out, try and put them down on a desk in the same order that you remove them, just in case one or two of the screws are smaller. There you go, see the top ones are smaller. And for this job what I did was I wanted to keep the operating system and some of the documents and software on there, so I actually used a PC to clone the disk over to the solid state drive. There's probably an easier way to do it on an Apple Mac, but I'm not an Apple guy, so I used a Windows software, Acronis, to do this job. There we go, the last of the screws coming out. And then take the brackets off and try and put them down somewhere in a position so you can recognise the way they go back, or take photos of these parts as they come out of the machine. One thing I found on this, the hard drive cable was quite tight, very fiddly. These machines are not engineer friendly, and I don't know why, because at the end of the day they run round the clock. They do run very, very well even when they're older, seem to stay very clean, so why not make them serviceable? So in this case I think this was a speaker panel that was hiding or covering some of the cables that had to come out just to give me a bit of room. So all this for a hard drive replacement. You wouldn't get this with a PC or a laptop for that matter. So you want to take those rubber corners off as well, fit those to the new drive. There we go, at last, drive's free. So it's just a standard 2.5 inch drive. That will probably go on eBay for parts. So it's probably a good thing while you've got the screen open, get the fans out, give those a clean. This is probably the one and only time you'll get inside the machine. I think I found on this, to be fair, there wasn't that much dirt, but it's worth having a look. You may have some clumps of cat hair in there, or dog hair. So get the fan off, have a quick look inside, just get a small paintbrush, some soft sort of brush on there, and a Dyson nozzle maybe, just give it a quick waft. There we go, job done. Fans, all the screws go back in the reverse order that you took them off. I think they're all the same on the fan there, the same size screws. And if you're doing on this on a model where there's two fans as well, one for the graphics card, one for the CPU, just get them both off, give them a good clean. You may find the graphics card fan is a lot muckier, and I think an Apple will throttle back like a PC would, and you'll get lower performance. So there we go, fans back on. So this hard drive has now been cloned onto the SSD, virtually the same size bodies. So we'll just fit those attachments, the rubber grommets. To be fair, these are to protect it from vibration, or at least stop the drive putting any vibration into the machine, which may cause a bit of a hum. Solid state drives don't have that issue, but we'll fit it in the same fittings anyway, just so everything's snug, nothing moves around. So the power and data cable, which was a real mare, goes back on. Again, why do Apple need to make this so finicky. There's just no give on any of the cables without taking out other components. Crazy. I should have really edited this out, but I wanted to give you a giggle, and I challenge you to do this any better. So if anyone knows what the new model's like, pop that in the comments below. Have Apple made it even harder to change components? Have they gone back to crazy M2 sort of SSD fittings where you've got to have a special Apple drive? Because we should have hopefully now moved on to NVMe. At least in this case, standard 2.5 connections, and on the SSD as well there was no temperature sensors, so it's pretty straightforward. But there we go, we're in, we're secure. Let's get the covers on there and get the screws in. So I could have fast forwarded this part, but to be fair, when I've watched videos like this myself, I'll pause it, I'll move on, I'll pause it and I'll move on, and take it step by step, and it's really hard to do when people fast forward the videos. So apologies for this being at one speed, but if you're trying to do this step by step and copy what I'm doing, then hopefully this will be more helpful for you. If you're bored, just fast forward. Again, I've placed the screws in the right order on the desk, so the larger screws go towards the bottom, smaller screws go towards the top. And we'll put the speaker back. So the next part now, before I actually attach the screen properly and put the seals back, I'm going to test it just to make sure the operating system boots. If it does, then I'll fit the screen on, because once that screen's on, if there's any sort of problems with going back to square one, it's going to be a real swine to get off. So we'll power it up, we'll get it connected. I'll try and find the link for the seal that I used as well. It's an automotive seal. It's basically a very, very thin 1mm layer of foam with sticky back black film either side. About £3 or £4 for a roll. It wasn't expensive. I'm just miffed now that I've got a massive roll of this stuff and nothing else to use it on. So the screen goes on the reverse the way it came off, so I tend to balance it at the bottom. You can maybe put some tape on there, some masking tape to hold it on, and then fit the cables back at the top. Just be careful the bottom of the screen doesn't ping forward and drop. So screen's on, everything looks like it's lined up. I'm going to use a bit of tape just to make sure the top doesn't flip over. Okay, let's find a power lead and see if this thing works. There we go, the screen is alive. So I'll let it boot all the way into the operating system and then shut it down properly, so we don't have any issues with corrupt a corrupt operating system. So screen can come off and we can start to apply the tape. So here it is. It's about 2 or 3 millimeters thick, wide, and about 1 millimeter thick, which should just be enough to hold the screen on without holding the glass away from the frame. And what I'm going to do is just gently place the tape around the border and cut it to size. Try not to stretch it too much, because it'll shrink back and you'll have gaps. So I'll fit most of it round the screen, and then the bottom of the screen I'll fit to the actual chassis rather than the screen itself. So it's a case of laying it down, roughly getting it where it needs to be, and just trim the ends. So I figured it'd be easier to fit this bottom piece to the chassis. That's in there, nice straight line to work to. Remember rightly, it was the older models that had the magnetic clips. The ones with more of a 4.3, or the resolution was more of a square resolution than these newer widescreen Macs. Why couldn't they keep that? Is it to stop engineers? Is it to stop us YouTubers finding out how to fix things? So for the corners, I just had to cut a piece and put some little corners into the rubber sort of tape, rather than bending a piece completely round. I just cut some angles into it so it would go around the corner and not fold up and push away. Just be careful of anything like any webcam equipment sticking up into the glass. On this one I don't think there was any. What I did notice was when I peeled this all away, the back of the glass had black paint on there, and that kind of got chipped away as I scraped the old tape off. So what I did was I got some matte car tape, matte car paint, don't use tape, matte car paint, and I actually just touched up some of the bits where the black paint had come off the back, so it wasn't really visible. Again, this isn't a machine I'm that worried about. I'm just going to sell it off as a working machine with wear and tear and marks. But if it's your own machine and it's going to be sat on your desk and you're going to notice, then you might want to touch it up. So I just use matte black paint. So go around the tape we just fitted, peel off the non-stick back with a blade. There we go. I have speeded this up for you. So peel all those bits off. And it might be worth as well, before you peel everything off, just have a go, practice putting that against the chassis, because once this is on, it's on. If you line it up wrong and press down, you're gonna be starting again. So take the last pieces off. Oops, didn't press it down enough. Funny, because while you're actually laying this tape down, you can actually peel it back up and move it, but once that screen goes on, it's funny how it's stuck. Sod's law, isn't it? So this works easier if you tip the screen backwards, so tip the chassis backwards, so you're not just placing the screen straight down onto it. So then what you can do then is put the weight of the screen on its bottom edge, and then you know the bottom edge is perfectly lined up. So if the bottom edge is lined up, technically the rest of it should line up too. But at least you've got a nice straight edge there to work to. So I'm just attaching the cables on. All quick last check. Screen's working, everything's good. Like I say, when this goes on, it's staying on. So what I want to do is, it's pretty safe to touch the back of there. I am going to just tip the screen back more if I can, and then just offer the bottom of the screen to the bottom of the chassis where it lines up. It's one big long straight line, perfect for lining up. And then just let the screen just hinge back itself and just fall into place. And it should line up. And then just gently press down. Like I say, if the bottom's lined up, the rest of the screen should be perfect, because that's the biggest, longest straight edge you've got to work to. So gently go around. Make sure the adhesive's got a good contact everywhere. You can just see around that top edge where you can see some of the paint's worn away. I could have spent some more time tickling it up, but I just wasn't precious about this machine. There we go. Boom, thanks for watching. If you've got any good comments on an easier way to do this, put it in the notes below.